Hi, everyone. This is Michelle Gramoglia, the president and CEO here at Woodland Pond. And no need for fear. I know that the message went out that this was an emergency presentation, but it's actually a really good thing. I just, we needed to let you know that we were going to be doing something unplanned in terms of an address. So for a number of weeks, an organization or an entity known as Peacock, which is the video streaming network for NBC, has been approaching Woodland Pond about acting as a filming location for a series that they are filming here in the Hudson Valley. They are filming an episode of their show called Poker Face, centrally out of Newburgh, but they're filming at different locations in our area. And they're filming an episode of Poker Face related to a senior living or a retirement community. We aren't totally sure of the storyline, but we have been having ongoing conversations with them since they've approached us, and probably a couple of months ago now. So there's been a number of meetings that have been happening between marketing and myself, Jason, Tom, et cetera. And we weren't really sure where this was going to go. We obviously have a lot of questions, a bunch of initial concerns. They have been extremely cooperative in understanding that if we are to go forward with this filming on campus, that it's absolutely crucial that the residents are impacted as little as possible. And initially they were talking about, potentially wanting to use the dining room and film in resident homes and a whole number of things. And, we said, absolutely not, that can't happen. So as of this morning, and this is why this is so late breaking, they actually would like to film here starting on the 27th of June, which is immediately, basically. We had a meeting this morning with them, and they finally have, identified their actual scope of filming. And the scope of filming that they're proposing is limited to some outdoor space near our garden boxes, a couple of short half days of filming in a small part of the hallway by the PAC. And then the bulk of the filming actually will take place in the main lobby. They will be, of course, reconstructing their own sets here on campus where they need to. They will use what they can if we do tell them yes. And then there will be an outside filming across from Cottage 115, one or two of the days of that week. So again, the filming is proposed to happen the week of the 27th of June. So this is an exciting opportunity. There is money in it. This is a very fortuitous time to have an offer like this. It's a good amount of money that's on the table. It's more than we can just immediately say no to, because there's certainly going to be disruption. But since the organization has been so cooperative in terms of stating that they are not going to have all of their staging here, they're actually going to use an offsite location for their makeup artists and their craft services, which is their food service, the bulk of their parking, and they will bus people back and forth from that location. So the actual impact in terms of the parking lot and safety outside and those kinds of things is going to be much more limited than they were initially talking about. And I feel much better about that. There's no question, though, that this is going to be disruptive. So, today, Jason and Shannon and Tom and I really talked through how could this work at Woodland Pond? How could it work in a way that allows us to get Woodland Pond on the map on a very popular series, or expected to be, showcase our community, and they love the rugs, if you can believe it. They're actually trying to replicate them in an offsite set if we tell them yes. And also to help offset, some of the cost impacts that we're starting to see from inflation. So it's something we definitely need to consider. So right now, because of the fact that we have the ability to traverse the dining room, the thought of taking the lobby offline is not as daunting as if we were talking about another part of the community that did not have an alternative path through it. So in thinking about how could we make this work, we are looking at or considering the option of utilizing the library with its 2 sets of double doors as an alternative location for concierge and the main entrance to the community while the lobby would be shut down for filming. So we have proposed that as a potential solution. I'm still working to understand, what would happen with Dedrick's, because in the scenario that Peacock has envisioned, the entire lobby would be closed. So we would have to obviously reroute the traffic coming through into the building and so forth. And Dedrick's would necessarily be closed. But I am working with Dedrick's to understand if we could set them up in an alternative location temporarily, or if they'd just like to take a vacation. Either way, the medications would be delivered by Dedrick's to our staff every day, and you'd still get your medication. So that wouldn't be an issue. So in thinking about all this and the excitement that this can bring and the financial benefit that this could bring to the community, of course, we would like to get resident input before we give Peacock a final decision. Fortuitously, today was a residents council meeting, and I had just come from the meeting with the Peacock folks. So I was able to share with the residents council and all of those present in the room what was being proposed. And of course, concerns were raised. There's no question that there will be some level of disruption. But at the end of the discussion, which incidentally also included the chair of the library committee, she happened to be in the hallway, and we brought her in, explained what we were proposing related to the use of the library, noting, of course, that the library will remain open, and the concierge staff will be extremely respectful of everything related to the library. And as I said in the meeting, we know that the library is sacrosanct. So that's very important. Following all of that discussion, and good questions were raised, a lot of discussion was had. A number of our residents actually have had experience with filming on a large scale. Some have lived in locations that are prime for filming, so have experienced it a lot. Others have been at individual locations where filming on a large scale has happened. And generally speaking, the conversation was positive. So at the end of that discussion, and again, this was all of the residents council members, all of those that were present as spectators, and then the chair of the library committee, by a show of hands, everyone in the room was in favor of me taking this as a concept to the residents. So ultimately the decision is a management decision, but I of course like to have some feedback. And because this is such short notice, I wanted to get this announcement out today. And what I would ask is that anyone that has major or serious concerns about this to please contact me before noon tomorrow, which is Friday. So you can leave me a note, you can call me, or send me an email. A couple of things I just want to reiterate and emphasize. All of the behind the scenes personnel, including food service, again, makeup, costumes, all of that is going to happen off-site. There will be limited number of transport vehicles that are needed to be on campus here so that they can ship people and things back and forth over the course of the 2 weeks that it will take from the time that they begin the construction of the sets here on campus to when they take everything down. We have identified a dedicated space in the health center parking lot so that those vehicles can be there and not be obtrusive to the community. Again, everything else will be done off-site, and their folks will be shipped back and forth. Very important for all of you to know that they have very high levels of COVID protection. So every single personnel member, whether they're on campus or not, must be tested for COVID daily. So every single one of their production assistants, the actors, the makeup artists, the food service people, they all have to be tested for COVID every single day. So I feel very good about that from a COVID perspective. And they really won't be interacting with residents. We will, move things around, reschedule if we have to. But really, it seems like the only thing that is going to be potentially closed, so to speak, would potentially be Dedrick's. And again, we're kind of still working through that. So I feel very good about that. What we would do is we would put out an initial schedule to you all so that you know which days we'll have to reroute you and so forth through the dining room, when concierge will be located in the lobby and so forth. So we put all of that out to you. And of course, we will be involving the New Paltz Rescue Squad, the police department, the fire department, to make sure that they know. And of course, we'll put signs and everything so that rather than using these 2 front doors, they'll use the doors just a little bit further down to come through in the library there, if we have a need for a stretcher to come through or whatever. So we feel very good that there won't be any impacts to your ability to receive public emergency assistance if you need it. And we feel as good as we can, knowing that this will of course bring disruption. So again, what I would ask of all of you is, if you have a very serious concern or hesitation about this, if you could please communicate that to me by noon tomorrow. I will take all of those into advisement. And again, the conversation with the Residents Council and the guests and the library committee this morning was great. The chair of the library committee. And I hope that, everyone kind of can accept a little bit of disruption for a couple of weeks, knowing that Woodland Pond will once again be on the map. Although it will be called Mossy Oaks, Woodland Pond's name will not be used, which is fine. Residents will not be filmed. Obviously, there's confidentiality protections there and so forth. I am looking to find out if they will be needing any extras. A couple of the folks in the Residents Council meeting asked if they would be needing extras. And I'll find that out for those that are interested. Again, we have not made a decision yet. The decision is management's, but of course, it's very important to me to understand what the residents think. There will be no impact to any of the other common spaces, and there will be no impact at all in the health center. So that's where we are. Again, if you could please get me any major concerns by noon tomorrow, preferably sooner, that would be great, because time is really of the essence here based on their proposed filming schedule and the fact that we just got everything confirmed today. So you know where to find me, and we will see where this goes. Thank you.